Well, DW, it's party time in Glitter Gulch. Let's reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time, baby.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Nice clean start. First 8 cars get single file in a hurry.
Greg Biffle, he'll get the 5 points for leading that first lap. But, buddy, I'm telling you, on back in the field, they are 3 wide and 4 wide.
You know, Larry, I was talking about aggressive driving. It just seems like the aggravation factor is a little higher than it has been in the past. These younger drivers, and it seems like everybody gets a little irritated with each other a whole lot quicker than they have in the past.
Lead change. Tony Stewart drops to the inside coming off turn 2 and will take the lead from Greg Biffle.
But Biffle goes to the bottom. Stewart's car washed up just a little bit. Looks like Greg Biffle's going to try to beat him back to the line, but Stewart will lead that lap right there. He gets 5 points.
That was by inches. And that's about what we'll see at the finish today.
And it appears that's all Tony needed or wanted. Nope, here he comes. Crossover move. Stewart on the bottom.
And this is good. We've got this side by side, 2 grooves early in this race. Now, same place, Stewart back into turn 3 in the 20 car. He goes to the bottom. Looks like his car stuck to the bottom that time. He should make the clean pass here.
Well, his car is really, really good right on the white line. I mean, he'll have the left side tires below the white line. It's going to make it pretty hard to get under him. So if you want to get around him, you have to go the outside. And, of course, you got to keep up with him, too.
And just remember, those 2 guys right there, that's the guys that finished first and second in points last year. It's the first 2 cars, the only cars that fell out at Fontana.
And what do you think Tony Stewart would be most worried about today, Larry?
Engine woes.
Yes.
Only because he had that failure last week, and a driver doesn't forget that until after this race is over with.
42 Casey Mears, the Texaco Dodge, has had a fantastic start to this season. Battling there at 28 is Sterling Marlin. Mears, winner of the Rolex 24 Hours in Daytona, top 10 finishes the last 2 races, second in points. Ooh, little smoke from Marlin's Wiley X sunglasses Chevy.
But remember, Casey Mears in the 42, he started back in 38, so he's already made up almost about 10 positions. None of the Ganassi cars qualified that well. And
right behind him, number 12, Ryan Newman. The Alltel Dodge, one of 4 drivers who had to go to backup cars to start this race. They included Jeremy Mayfield, Kenny Wallace, and also the 4 car of Scott Wimmer in backups. Steve Burns.
Mike, right now Ryan Newman is saying his car is a little tight. You talked about him moving to the back. They had a head gasket problem in the motor yesterday in practice. They had to change the motor. They only got about 16 laps of practice. But the remarkable thing, Mike, they changed motors in 48 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the problem yesterday with the way the weather worked out, the teams they only received 1 practice. It was an extended practice. That happened early. They just didn't get a lot of practice with this 12 car.
And that's what I dislike about impound races. They would have not been able to find that problem had they not had practice yesterday.
Because this is a regular schedule here.
J.J. Yaley has passed Kurt Busch. That changes hands at 5th place. As you see, the mid-corner speeds down to just about 150 miles an hour. And then they accelerate to the high 180s down the straightaway.
And you saw that they are about 2.5, 2 3/4 seconds behind our leader, Tony Stewart, in the 20 car. Here's the man that won last night, Casey Kane, in that 9 car, won in the Busch Series race. He's been good all weekend long here. Right now, he's in the 7th spot after qualifying 5th. But, I mean, watch the miles per hour right here. This is a 1.5-mile racetrack. almost 185 miles per hour, and watch in the middle of the corner off the gas, 144 miles per hour with no throttle applied.
And of course, Larry, the back straightaway is pretty short here. The round from turn 3 down to turn 4 down to turn 1 is really where you pick up a lot of speed.
Newman, number 12, in a backup car, challenging Casey Mears for 30th. Now, if you look at these two cars on the nose, you'll see the difference between Newman's number 12, the older Dodge Intrepid, and the Dodge Charger that all of the Dodge teams other than Penske Racing are using this weekend.
And I tell you, there was a third Dodge there, Kyle Petty. He was getting in the mix. Now here's Jeff Gordon in the 24 car battling to the inside of Jeff Burton in the 31. This is a battle for ninth right here. You know, we're watching Jeff Gordon right now in the 24. Just a little bit ago, we were watching Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8. This type of racetrack, the flatter mile-and-a-half racetrack, that was the Achilles heel. Even though Jeff Gordon finished 4th here a year ago, for most of the season, this was the type of track that those guys just could not get a handle on.
Mark Martin, the AAA Ford under Jeff Burton, and that moves Martin into the top 10. Matt Kenseth on the way.
Kenseth's had a good car last night here in the Busch race. Not quite up to Casey Kane, though. Kane had that Dodge. He was humming around here last night.
And what's interesting about Matt Kenseth, I talked to his crew chief, Robbie Reiser. All of the teams tested out here in mid-January. The 17 had a terrible test. They pretty much threw everything away, went with a different package for Fontana. We know how that worked out. Then they used information from there to bring here to Las Vegas.
Saw Kenseth move up to 11th as you ride with Jeff Burton. Tony Stewart, 9/10 of a second ahead of Greg Biffle.
Did you see that 20 car, how when he gets down to turn 1, right out next to the wall, just almost throws the car down into the corner at about 190 miles an hour.
And this is a battle for 3rd right here. We're riding with Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. That's his teammate Kyle Busch in the 5 car. And then right behind them in the green car, J.J. Yaley in the 18. J.J. Yaley, we just see him getting better and better every week, not only in Nextel Cup, but Busch as well.
Well, the one reason why, Larry, is the car is good. It's really helping him as a young driver because his car is so good. What about it, Burns?
Hey, DW, the other thing about J.J. Yaley, his crew chief, Steve Addington, told me this morning that he sat J.J. down before the season started and said, look, this is your job to keep. You're not going to lose it. He said the other thing J.J. did was watch the tapes of all the races he ran in the Busch Series last year. At DW, he said he realized that he put his car in positions that he shouldn't have.
"38 laps complete, over 100,000 fans on hand. I don't see an empty seat anywhere. This place is SRO.
I'll tell you somebody that's standing up in the seat right now. It's that cat in that 6 car. He just went by J.J. Yaley there and in the 2nd place, chomping away at that 20 car lead. How about it, Jeannie?
Well, I tell you, if this is retirement, Mark Martin should have tried this a while ago, huh? He came on the radio and said, look, I know it's early, but this is the best car I've had in a long time. I think I held the vowel there long enough to recreate.
Turn 2,
yes,
Jeannie.
trouble.
Big crash in turn 2, and it is Reed Sorensen in the Target Dodge.
And I'm pretty sure it was a right front tire. The thing just took a dead right. And I'm sorry, Jeannie, but the 41 car crashed hard.
And Darrell, you would think 40 laps into this run, we're hearing a lot of cars that are pushing, which means they're abusing that right front tire. That has a look that that's maybe what happened. He could have ran over something, but this late in the run, very well could have been just lost the right front.
Heard Jeff Gordon just tell his crew chief down there, said, hey, the right front's not feeling right.
First caution flag of the day, and it comes out at lap 40 for Reed Sorensen, the 20-year-old from Atlanta. See the start way in the distance off the right side of your screen.
Yeah, I was looking right over there, Mike, and the thing just took a dead right. Definitely had a tire failure.
So the pace car gathers up the field, and next time by, probably pit road will be open.
I'll tell you what, that caution came at the right time for a lot of drivers out there. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mayfield, Mark Truex Jr., Carl Edwards. A lot of these guys were about to go a lap down.
It came at the wrong time for Ryan Newman. who is already 1 lap down, and he will be pinned there because Kevin LePage is the first car a lap down and will get the free pass.
And there will be no strategy here. This will be pit for 4 tires fuel, and I would be safe to say almost every car major adjustments.
Yeah, all that feedback I've been giving you there, crew chief,
Fix it.
use it.
All right, they're going to keep pit road closed for 1 lap because Reed Sorensen is limping onto pit road. And the track truck is behind him, picking up any debris that comes off that car. 45 laps complete. Terry Labonte did not pit with the rest of the cars on the lead lap. He stayed out on track to lead a lap and gain 5 bonus points. He's now pitted. Mark Martin is your leader over Tony Stewart as we restart.
I think what you'll see is Tony will jump all over a Mark here. Mark's car's good on the long run, so that probably means it's not very good on these restarts.
The problem, they've got Ryan Newman there in the 12 car. Mike, you mentioned he did not get the free pass. He's trying to get that lap back now to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, he's kind of running interference right there now for Mark.
I'm going to tell you what, 2 cars that are coming, though. Jimmy Johnson in that 48. We talked about the pit stop that Matt Kenseth and the 17 guys had. Look at him up there in the 4th position now.
Well, like we saw here last year, Larry, all the Hendrick cars are running good today.
You know, the people may ask, why is Ryan Newman doing this early in the race? It is a race for a car like him to stay up there to be that first car lap down. If he gets the caution, then he's back on the lead lap. He's just doing his job right here.
Matt Kenseth trying to close on the 3 leaders. Let's get an update from his pit. Jeannie?
Yeah, Matt came into the pits last time saying, look, I just don't have any grip. It is tight going into turn 1, and I haven't had that problem all weekend. A lot of discussion as to what to do to the car. They decided to take 1 pound out all the way around, lobbying for some more changes, but Matt waved everybody off. It seems to be working.
I tell you, another car that started deep in the field back in 29th, Kevin Harvick in the 29 car, a lot due to the fact of a good pit stop by his crew. But you see right there, he's up in the 9th, just a little over 2 seconds behind leader Mark Martin. I think they really made major adjustments on that car under that pit stop as well. It was released this week that Kevin Harvick and owner Richard Childress has set a timetable of pretty much mid to late April to determine what their future will be together beyond this year.
Just ahead of Harvick, Jeff Gordon in the 24 working J.J. Yaley.
Yeah, they've been racing each other really hard. J.J.'s been on the outside of Jeff there for a couple of laps. I think they decided to get single file here so they couldn't move forward.
Matt, did they make Jeff's car better?
Seems that way. Mike finished 4th here last year. The 2001 winner says the car is improving, using a lot of brake in the corners, but he says the car starts off loose and then it slowly works its way to just a tick tight, but Gordon's very pleased. He and Steve Letarte making a lot of headway.
A car that's not as good as it was in the first run is Yaley in the 18. Kevin Harvick works underneath him and takes away 8th place from J.J.
You know, and that is so aggravating when you got a great car and you come into pits and make a couple little minor changes, you go back out, can't drive it.
And what's going on with this battle right here, and this is actually a battle for 4th between Kyle Busch and the 5, Matt Kenseth in the 17. It's almost like Kyle Busch gets that momentum by being up in that 2nd groove. When Kenseth on the bottom, he actually, look, he's got his left side tires below the white line. He just can't carry the momentum off the corner.
Yeah, I don't see very many guys venturing up high yet, though, to try to make a pass. They get up there and lose ground. Here comes Gordon under the 16. Car looks really good. And she's not smoking.
Well, Biffle challenges him for the corner. And Biffle holds the spot. Kenseth back after Kyle Busch. Big fight there going into turn 3 as they try to lap past Ryan Newman. And here comes Gordon back after Biffle.
I don't think they helped Newman's car much. He just was up there for a lap or 2, but he's kind of in the way now.
How about J.J. Yaley? Steve, what changes did they make?
Well,
Well, Mike, they made air pressure adjustments to the 18, and the little concern down here right now in the pits. JJ just told crew chief Steve Addington he's feeling a vibration. He's just trying to be conservative right now.
And that's so typical. When somebody blows a right front tire, you're going to get a lot of drivers coming back and saying, I think I feel a vibration. I think I got a tire problem. Because they all guarantee they report to all the drivers, say, hey, a 41 blew a right front tire. You might want to, give us any feedback.
But you know that last time through 3 and 4, J.J. Yaley up there in that green 18 car, he moved to the high side, drove back around Kevin Harvick in the 29. You see here in turn 1 and 2 is we're riding with Kasey Kahne. Yaley has definitely moved up a groove.
Something happened to Kasey there. He got all the way down to 145 miles an hour in the middle of that corner. So something happened entering that corner where in the transition from brake to the middle of the corner to throttle, he really had to get out of the gas.
Yeah, that's an oops. Every now and then you'll have an oops.
The older of the Busch brothers is on the move. That would be Kurt, the first Nextel Cup champion, now driving the Miller Lite number 2 for Roger Penske, who is up on the roof today as one of Kurt's spotters.
Kurt qualified back in the 6th position. Mike, you talked about it just a little bit earlier. We keep following this story at the downforce racetracks like Fontana and here at Las Vegas. The 2 Penske cars, they elect to continue to work with that 2004 Intrepid, which is still legal. It's legal for 3 years, and all the other teams are working with the new Dodge Charger. It looks like they're gaining on that 2 car, Dick Berggren.
Wally, the crew. Yeah, they are indeed gaining on it. I talked to Roy McCauley, the crew chief, at length this morning, and he said that the thing that they wanted to do the most was to make the driver happy, and they accomplished that in practice here. They turned over 80 laps of practice in race trim. They were not at all focused on qualifying. They wanted to get this car so that it would run fast on the long run. They got the type pretty well out of it. They made an adjustment on the last pit stop. Kurt's moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's the thing they fought over there in Fontana was it was really fast, set on pole, but the thing would slow down in a long run so bad that it couldn't drive it. So they've been working on that, and I tell you, Kurt told me they were making some real progress.
Denny Hamlin. Remember, Hamlin was one of the cars that took 2 tires on this last pit stop to gain track position with the FedEx Chevy.
Denny Hamlin, we're riding with him here, looking back at the Busch brothers, the 11 car. He took only 2 tires, and right here you're seeing a product of 2 tires versus 4 tires. Kyle Busch in the 5, Tony Stewart in the 24 tires, Kurt Busch in the 2. Only 2 right side tires changed.
The cars that took no tires or 2 tires are gambling, hoping for a quick caution flag. So they'll be in sequence with everyone else, just hoping not to be the cause of that caution flag.
There's Kevin Harvick in that 29 car. We've been talking about him, still up there in the top 10. He changed 4 tires up in the 8th position. But I think where the 2 tires work, Mike and DW, right now is on 2 cars, like the guys leading the race, Mark Martin in the 6, Greg Biffle in the 16. They don't have to maneuver their car as much. They're not racing other cars.
Casey Mears in trouble. A big waggle coming off turn 4. It almost looked like he had a flat.
Well, no, he had cars on both sides of him, and he just got the thing to hopping around, and he couldn't get it stopped.
While all this was going on right now, though, Greg Biffle in that 16, he just drove right by Mark Martin in the 6 for the lead.
This will raise your pulse rate right here. Watch that 42.
Yeah. He gets caught in the middle right here. He gets Dale Jr. on one side. And he just gets, that's the old hospital hop right there, boy. You got to watch that.
He didn't want to get into Junior, and he sure didn't want to get into his teammate on the outside, David Stremme. Now, while that happened, Greg Biffle went to the lead.
This was coming off turn 2. Greg went to the high side, got that run off of turn 2, and just drove right by Mark down the backstretch. But I'm going to tell you, they're going to have company real soon with their other teammate, Matt Kenseth, in the 17.
Looking ahead at Bobby Labonte in the Czechs 43 and Casey Mears in the 42.
The 55 hung up on the bottom. 2 cars.
Heavy traffic back there.
I believe they continue, Doug Richard and that crew, I think they continue to get that 16 car a little bit better. But you know, sometimes, Darrell, changing just right side tires can help a handling problem a little bit.
Yeah, that's the only thing I worry about. It's a short-term gain sometime for a long-term loss. That's the only thing you got to be worried about.
And I think Mark Martin in the 6 just paid the price to his teammate Matt Kenseth in the 17. Remember, Matt has those 4 fresh tires.
Yeah, but that's classic Mark Martin. You run up behind Mark Martin, you get on his back bumper, particularly if you're a teammate, he'll let you go.
He knows you called him for a reason. You're faster than he is.
Exactly.
The House of Roush run 1, 2, 3. Greg Biffle, the race leader, trying to overcome finishes of 31st at Daytona and 42nd in California. Matt?
Biffle trying to get Jack Roush another victory lane trip here at Las Vegas. Now, they went with a 2-tire strategy. Mike, the big reason why so early in the race, a lot of laps left, using this as an experiment for later. They've been back and forth on the balance issue. Before that stop, the car was tight. Now, here in the pits, on the pit boxes, as Matt Kenseth, his teammate, takes the lead, you'll find everything. DirecTV satellite system, high-tech computers. But I've seen it first today. Here in the 16 pit, because Doug Richard was on the Busch box last night, he wasn't taking any chances. Went out and got a electric blanket. 41 degrees last night. Temperature right now about 57 degrees, but he is prepared in case it does get cooler. He says he won't freeze 2 days in a row.
Yeah, Matt, I'd be sure that he didn't unwrap that thing and throw it over a set of tires down there either. He's a pretty cagey old dude. He could be thinking something other than keeping himself warm.
Got to have your blanket.
Now, again, we've been monitoring, talking about not the air temperature, but the track temperature. We talked about the temperatures of the racetrack on Friday and Saturday. This is when the race started right here, 75 degrees. But look there, now it's up over 80 degrees, which is the hottest it has been.
It's a lot hotter in the middle of this pack.
Whoa.
Kenny Schrader, the Motorcraft 21, Dale Jr., the 43, that's Bobby Labonte in blue and yellow. That is quite a wad of cars. And Darrell, they just can't seem to get away from one another.
No, they're all wadded up there. And Casey Mears has been in the middle a couple of times. I know he doesn't like that. Here comes these guys 3 wide. That's one thing about this front straightaway. It opens up so wide that if you get a run off turn 4, you can make some moves down this front straightaway.
But you can stand to be 3 wide on the front stretch. You get to turn 1, you better be back to at least 2 wide.
And company's coming. The 18 of Yaley, the 1 of Martin Truex come into this battle.
I'll tell you, that Yaley car, before the day's over, he'll be back in the hunt.
And just remember what happened to him for the people that just joined us. He had a top 5 car. After a pit stop, he had a right rear wheel that was loose, had to come to pit road under green, thought to get back on the lead lap by the free pass, and here he is working his way back to the front.
What I really like, Larry, is when he catches them, he doesn't follow them. He goes to the outside, puts one of the most sprint car moves on them, puts a slide job on them, and goes by.
Jeff Green has caught that pack, and so has Carl Edwards in the 99. Edwards came up to Larry and me as we were waiting to leave the track last night. Big smile on his face. I drove the General Lee. I drove the General Lee. And John Schneider rode shotgun. He was so excited, you thought he just won the Busch race.
Yeah, when he walked up, we thought he was going to talk to us about his Busch car. He had nothing to say about that.
Unfortunately today, maybe Carl wishes he had the General Lee, because that is the only Roush car that is not up amongst the leaders. We'll try and find out why when we come back. Let's start at lap 40. Target dodge of Reed Sorensen. Cuts down a right front tire in turn 2. Gets up and into the wall. He has since returned to the race 65 laps down. That was the first caution of the day. Mark Martin's AAA crew got him back on the road in a hurry as he beat everybody off pit road. Lap number 90, Ryan Newman. Right front problems, Jeff, and he's hard in the wall.
Hard in the wall for sure right there. Ended his day right there with that right front tire problem. But I tell you right now, the guys you've been watching, they're coming on pit road. Tony Stewart racing with Mark Martin down on pit road. He gets in the commitment cone, but NASCAR made the decision. He did not break the penalty, and on the next restart, he actually takes the lead away from Mark Martin.
Stewart has led 53 laps, while Jeff, the Roush cars today seem to mostly have been battling each other.
They have been racing hard all day long. You see Greg Biffle on the outside of the veteran Mark Martin taking the lead from him. But then later on, here comes Matt Kenseth in the 17 around Biffle to take the lead away from him. It's been basically a dogfight between these guys all day long. And you watch Jimmy Johnson racing Tony Stewart right there. A lot of passing high and low all day long. Both crews are working extremely well today here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Hey, Larry. Looks like that 48 car might be coming on here pretty strong at the end of the day.
I believe he has come to life here with just about 50 laps to go. Up there battling now, just took third position away from Tony Stewart in that 20 car and drove away.
Yeah, Tony was battling really hard with Kyle Busch, and all of a sudden Kyle got away from Tony. I don't know if he slowed down or what happened. Then the 48 goes by Tony Stewart in the 20, and he's set sail now.
And just to set the stage, we've got 52 laps to go. If we stay green, we would have green flag stops, which you've not quite got to just yet. We've come close 2 or 3 times. In about 30 to 35 laps, it will happen with about 15 or 20 laps to go.
Watch this old 11 car right here. I think the tires are starting to fade a little bit on some of these cars, Larry. She comes out here on him.
Is that you or the car? It's pretty close.
Denny Hamlin, he is still running in the top 10 up there in the 9th position. Again, we should have had stops in about 30 laps.
Right here is, I think, when he
used up a lot of racetrack
Man,
here.
he is, and before that, he used up more than that. Unexplored territory, a time or two.
And now he's got Biffle and Scott Riggs on his tail. They're all fighting for 9th place.
You know, looking at Scott Riggs, we've already talked about his problems he had in qualifying. I talked to his owner, Ray Evernham, as he just drives by Greg Biffle, and he said, if we'll give Scott all the ingredients, this indeed could be my best race team right here. Give them some time together, no mistakes like the mistake at Daytona qualifying, a mistake with the throttle cable, and this team can be a contender.
And you said cable, Larry. Most of these teams run a throttle linkage, but they elected to run a cable between the accelerator pedal and the carburetor.
And it just about bit him. It was binding up. But I'm going to tell you, Mark Martin, Jeff Hammond, Mike, you were talking about him, how strong he was. He had that problem on that last pit stop, and he just seemed like he can't recover. He's back in 12th position, 11.5 seconds behind our leader, his teammate, Matt Kenseth. Mark Martin's going to have a caution to recover from this one.
Yeah, I think one of the things we've seen over and over again is when you get up in the front, get out front, and get clean air, that it really makes a difference in the performance of the car. Mark got caught back in traffic, much like what happened to Jeff Gordon, and it doesn't seem like the cars will run quite as good. And that's just a product of the aero package.
Not long ago, this man, Tony Stewart, the defending Nextel Cup champion, was just 1.5 seconds back and looked like he was going to close on the leader. But you see that car is not handling all that well, Matt. What's up?
Chopping wood.
DW has exactly right. Stewart came on the radio about 7 laps ago, D, and said this car is just so aero dependent, fighting a bad aero tight condition.
Now ahead of Stewart, Jimmy Johnson is 3 seconds off the lead. It's Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch, And then Jimmy Johnson. Dick Berggren is in Johnson's pit.
And Darian Grubb is his acting crew chief. Darian, you guys have adjusted the car all day. Is it now adjusted well enough to win this race?
I think so. I mean, the Lowe's Monte Carlo has been awesome all day. Jimmy's really worked with it. He's got good feedback. We've tried a whole lot of stuff today. The 17 is really strong, and so is their teammate in the 5 car. We know what the 5 car is doing. We know what we're doing. We're going to try to get up front.
All right, good luck to you. Thank you.
Crew Chief Chad Knaus in the midst of a 4-race suspension. He'll be back at Bristol. Darian Grubb up on the pit box. He has guided Johnson to victory at Daytona and the point lead.
Second place at Fontana 2 weeks ago, working on another top 5.
Very confident young man. I like the way he looks at everything.
And not that many years ago, he was a mechanic at a Volvo truck dealership. Sent his resume in, and Petty Enterprises picked up on it, hired him. 3 years ago, he went to work at Hendrick Motorsports.
We're going to have at least one more pit stop if this race stays green. More if we have cautions. There's your leader, Matt Kenseth, still lapping this track at 34:20, Jeff. His fastest lap, 31:90. So the longer we run, the times start to fall off. What about this final pit stop?
Well, Mike, what I've been thinking about is we watched the 2 Hendrick teammates race each other, Jimmy Johnson as well as Kyle Busch right there battling for second position. But what I'm looking at, and Larry, you know, when you look, you run the race backwards. When we went back to green at the final caution a second ago, we had about 80 laps to go. So what I'm wondering is, if I'm a crew chief, do I run 40 laps, dive on pit road, take a little gamble, and try to make up a lot of track position and get out in front of some of these guys out there riding around on old tires? Right now, Jimmy Johnson's making a pretty good charge off of turn 4 on Kyle Busch on the outside. So really, who might take a gamble here to try to win this thing? Because it doesn't look like you're going to catch Matt Kenseth unless you change your game plan a little bit.
Well, Jeff, just remember, in our FedEx racetracks, one of our keys was roll the dice. That would be a great plan, but what would bite you, and we've seen it almost happen 3 or 4 times, that we'd get to that green flag pit stop, the caution would come out. It happened to Kyle Busch last night in the Busch race. He pitted early. 5 laps later, the caution comes out. Then you're pretty much dead meat.
But it's Las Vegas, guys. You got to roll them every now and then.
I'd roll them, and I'd be rolling that we're going to get a caution.
Coming to the green, 30 laps to go. Last race winner, Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, and here comes Kyle Busch on the outside of Kevin Harvick for 3rd.
He timed it just right.
He did. That's not going to sit good with Harvick, I bet you.
And Stewart right with him, 3 wide.
I mean, these guys know that if you don't get it early, they're going to get out there. Kenseth will get away from you, and you're not going to get back to him.
Well, the battle continues here with the 5 and the 20, and they're not real happy with each other.
And right behind them, the 2 Childress Chevys, Harvick and Burton looking in.
And right now, they're in a box behind Dave Blaney in the 22. Scott Wimmer in the 4.
Whoa, he got him. He got him. Got him up out of the ground.
And Harvick's right there to take advantage if he can.
And look at him. 3 wide down the back straightaway.
Tony's in no man's land now, right in the middle.
Got to back off.
Here, clear. That's my man right there.
Boy, a lot of patience on everybody's part right there.
Little give and take here with 29 to go.
On top of those.
They're still at each other.
Be cool.
Be cool.
Gotta finish it here. 2 wide. There you go. 2 wide with the 20. Pulling them and clear.
Kyle Busch got a good run off turn 2.
Had to.
Can you please get on NASCAR for me? The son of a trying to kill me. Settle in. Let's settle in here.
And that's the best advice they can give Kyle Busch right now. Put it behind you, settle down. You got a good race car.
Now, what's happened to Harvick? He was right there battling with these 2, and now he's dropped back behind Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon, and the 31 of Burton.
He's getting away from those guys.
He'd seen enough.
Matt.
Mike, remember a couple of weeks ago, Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch sat down and had a long conversation, and Kyle Busch felt like he really learned a lot from a veteran. When all this incident started taking place on the track, Stewart said, well, I guess he forgot a lot about our conversation, a lot of it which was, don't overdrive your race car. He felt like, he said, the shrub was holding it up and making me mad. And when Zippy
Greg Zipadelli's crew chief said, don't let it bother you. He goes, no, that's an advantage for me sometimes.
Let's show you the restart. There had been a bit of bump and tussle between these two previous. Good jump by Busch.
Got a good start there. Jumped out to the outside, which is easy to do on a track like this, big wide front straightaway.
Here comes Stewart to the outside. There, this is in the back straightaway. I apologize for a bit of lockup in our replay machine there.
Kyle Busch in the 5, he finally clears the lap car of Dave Blaney in the 22 car. And I think if he can get out in clean air, he's got a pretty good race car right now.
Yeah, I think he does too, Larry. He's a little quicker than Tony is.
What we were going to show you was the bump in the back straightaway. And it freezes there. But Darrell, that's just a driver just expressing a little displeasure right there. Just, hello, I'm here.
It's all right to give a little tap on the straightaway, as long as you only do it once. Wouldn't want to continue to do that.
Tell you what, while all this has been going on right now, we've got 23 laps to go. Matt Kenseth in the 17's pulled out to almost a second half lead over Jimmy Johnson in the 48.
Yeah, Kenseth is loving all these guys back in there banging around on each other. He's just on cruise.
Jeff Burton, don't forget, has 2 wins here. They came while he was driving the 99 for Jack Roush as he battles the Jeff Gordon car. 5 seconds off the lead.
Still there.
Fighting for 6th.
They're exactly about 5 1/4 seconds behind our leader, Matt Kenseth.
Still there, right on your quarter. Still there.
The old DuPont Chevrolet is keeping him pinned down to the inside, not giving him any momentum up off the corner.
You can have your picture taken with Jeff Gordon at Madame Tussauds Interactive Wax Museum here in Vegas. He's the 2nd racer to be so honored. Now Kevin Harvick continues to lose positions, Dick.
Yeah, he does, Mike. He's just lost another spot, this time to Mark Martin. Harvick now in 10th position. And the problem, he just came on the radio and said plowing, plowing, plowing. That means the car is pushing, and it's going to be tough for him to do much today with that.
Same thing happened to him last night. He was sitting up there leading the race, had a caution late in the race. All of a sudden, that's what he was hollering in. Can't turn, car won't turn.
He started 29th today. Harvick hasn't had a top 5 since Richmond last May.
But I think one reason, just look right here, just a little over 100 laps ago, the track temperature was 81 degrees. It has dropped almost 20 degrees, and Genie turn 1 and 2 in the front stretch is completely in shade, which means these cars are probably going to lose front grip.
Yes, I think that's why when I was hanging out in the 17 pit, just enjoying the race, a couple of crew members came over and tried to convince me to shift my location and lean on the stack of tires that was waiting to be put on the 17 car. Just kind of warm them up a little bit. That has been the topic of conversation, how the temperature on the track just keeps changing. The 9 car of Casey Kane saying we need the sun to come out again because this big cloud moves over. It is just killing us.
We talked about it at the top of the show. Ever-changing track conditions, keeping up with it, especially on this final stop.
Matt Kenseth trying to go 2 for 2 and get his 3rd win here in Las Vegas. Moments ago, Tony Stewart got way up and almost found himself leaving Las Vegas.
He was starting to really catch the 5 car of Kyle Busch, but a close call there.
I think that's just one of those deals where, again, Zippy needs to tell Tony to chill out.
The view from Casey Kane of Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch continuing to go at it.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard hit on the right rear of that car, Larry. The tires, the Goodyear's rubbed all the way off the tires, so they took a pretty hard shot.
I'm going to tell you, watching this scoring monitor, there's Greg Zippadelli, a crew chief for Tony Stewart, two-time championship crew chief. But right now, the fastest car on the racetrack, it's not Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the Budweiser car, but right now he's 13th in this 8 car. But I've been watching Casey Kane in the 9. He just drove by Tony Stewart up there in the 4th position. Now we're riding with him as he's looking out towards Kyle Busch in that 5 car.
Any way you cut it, Larry, this is a good weekend for that crowd. Winning that race last night, and now here he is up here running the top 4 today. Pretty good weekend for that young man and for that race team.
And there he is, exactly where he was last night in that Busch race, up to the high side. And he's running his 5 car down about 0.2 of a second a lap as we've got 11 laps to go.
You know, you got to give Ray a lot of credit. I mean, with all the controversy over the Intrepid versus the Charger, he sticks with what he knows.
Here's one of the Chargers, Casey Mears, trying for his 3rd straight top 10. He has to get past Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin to do it. Mears 2nd in the points for Chip Ganassi and Felix Sabates. Here he is side by side with the Goodwrench Chevy of Harvick, and he moves into 11th.
You know, Jeff Gordon, he might want to run that green car more often, especially on these 1.5 miles. Now, this is one of his better 1.5 miles, but there he goes by Tony Stewart right there to move into the top 5.
Definitely think Tony Stewart and the 20 car is paying the price for that rush for that wall off turn 2 a while ago.
Jeff Burton is looming here, lurking right along behind him. Got him pretty well set up as well, I believe.
9 laps to go. Sterling Marlin, past winner here, slow in the back straightaway, the Nellis straightaway, honoring the Air Force
But he
base.
got no pressure, no motor. I got him coasted now.
Pretty much.
Make sure you coast all of them.
Says his day is done as far as the engine. Sterling was still on the lead lap. We still have 30 cars on the lead lap, and you see Jeff Burton in the 31 going by Tony Stewart in the 20. That's a battle for 6. The biggest thing Tony Stewart's looking for right now is that checkered flag to end this thing.
Yeah, with his DNF last week and 2 weeks ago in Fontana and then falling back today, he's not doing himself any favors in the points. Got Mark Martin coming up on him now. And we may have a race for the lead here before long.
Nobody has ever led as many laps at Las Vegas as Matt Kenseth has today. He led 123 when he won here 2 years ago. He's already led 137. But the point leader, Jimmy Johnson, closing fast.
He is a coming, guys. He just come up off of turn 2 and made a big gain on the Kenseth.
And it looks like Matt Kenseth in the 17, he will catch one more lap car before this thing's over. 6 laps to go this time.
Jimmy's car is so good center off. He's really, looks like the 17's tightened up a little bit and the 48 is just right.
Matt Kenseth, a big leader. Can he seal the deal to win his 2nd race in a row? Jimmy Johnson in the last 15 laps has cut the difference in half, down to about 3/4 of a second. Mark Martin moves up. Tony Stewart falls to 8th.
And now Matt Kenseth has cleared that lap car, so he has pretty clean racetrack in front of him. But that 48, like you said, he's getting off the corner so good right now. 5 to go.
But what a difference a year makes for Matt Kenseth. Last year, his first 3 races were finishes of 42nd at Daytona, 26th at California, and he got his first top 10 here, finishing 8th. This year, 15th at the beach, a win in California, and he's out front now with 5 to go.
Yeah, and it's about a 10th a lap right now.
Don't look back. I mean, I think that it's going to be a real drag race to the finish line here on the last lap. No, it's shaping up as one of those kind of Atlanta finishes where you got this big wide front straightaway. Which way do you go?
Kenseth started 9th today. No Las Vegas winner has ever come from the first 3 rows of the starting grid.
Wonder how many winners have come out here with a substitute crew chief and walked off with the victory.
Tony Stewart may be wrestling a flat tire, and caution is out. The debris coming off right there, Kenny Wallace's car. Wallace had a problem. Denny Hamlin couldn't avoid him.
Yeah, it looked like Wallace really slowed down right in front of Denny, and Denny got into him, and Tony is on the apron, guys. Kenseth kind of jumped out there, got a big jump on everybody.
Told his crew during the caution that his engine is flat. Doesn't feel like it has a lot of power. We'll see right here.
Here comes Johnson. Looks like he's been so good off of the corner. That's where he's been closing.
Contact turn 2. A car up toward the wall. Misses him.
Whoa. Here comes Jimmy. I think he'll follow Matt in here, but he's been so strong coming off the corner.
Matt Kenseth, he's not going to give the bottom up, though. Jimmy Johnson in the 48, he turns it to the bottom, coming to the white flag this time.
Clear low, white
If you don't give up the bottom, you'll be okay, I think.
But Darrell has been turned 2. That's where the strength has been with this 48 car.
Kyle Busch poised to take advantage. It's a 3-car race with a mile to go.
He's looking outside. You better block him if you want to hold him off. Got a good run.
Kenseth pulls the block, going off into turn 3. Johnson goes to the high side. He's going to try to get that momentum.
Jimmy
Johnson drag race.
won last year like this. Kenseth with the edge. Here comes Johnson.
Jimmy's
momentum
got it.
outside.
He's got it. He's got it.
Johnson
48. Yeah.
wins the UAW Daimler Chrysler 400. He led 1 lap.
He got that run on the high side through 3 and 4.
I like it. I mean, it's an exciting finish. You got to like that.
For the second race in a row, Jimmy Johnson turns the tables in Las Vegas, and he gets another big belt. Steve.
How about that? Jimmy Johnson puts on the belt. Now, Jimmy, you've had 3 of these battles that I recall. At Atlanta last year with Carl Edwards, he beat you to the outside. Then at Lowe's Motor Speedway with Bobby Labonte, you got him on the outside. Tell us about the thought process, the battle with Matt Kenseth.
Man, that is great racing. I had so much fun, and I've had a lot of fun racing with Matt over the years. But I knew if I could get to his outside, come to the start-finish line, I lost one that way, and I knew that I could win. I won one that way, and I knew that I could do it again. So I'm out of breath. I was screaming for a lap, going backwards, hooting and hollering inside the race car. But I am so happy, so proud of this race team, so thankful for Lowe's and their support. Chevrolet Monte Carlo, we're really learning it, having a good time in the process.
Jimmy, you told us yesterday at Happy Hour that you were excited about your race car, but when the race started, it probably wasn't handling the way you wanted it to. How did you guys get it going?
Well, I knew the car was going to drive good. It drove good at the beginning of the race. I just didn't want to push the issue. We had a little bit of a tire wear at the front because the car was a little too tight. So I just took my time. Last 2 pit stops, it was time to go. And then when they had that green-white checkered at the end, I knew those Monte Carlo was going to be in good shape. And I was a little too loose to catch Matt, but for 2 laps, I knew I could hang on, and we got it done.
Okay, congratulations. That was exciting. Let's go to Jeannie Zelasco.
Extremely exciting. A second place finish. Should be congratulations, but your face is a little bit long. We've all been watching the tape. What else could you have done? Why are you beating yourself up? What are we missing here?
Well, nobody likes to run second. You know, we led all day, and you know, thought we had the best car. But at the end of that run, we just started slowing up, and Jimmy started catching me. Just felt like it was laying down a little bit on me for some reason. I don't know what. And then you know, the green-white checkers are tough. I did everything I could. You know, if I tried any harder, I was going to wreck and probably wreck him. So I did everything I could. I just got beat. You know, I feel bad because I feel like I let the guys down because they got, you know, pit stops second to none like I was and got me in a position to win, and I couldn't win it for them. But it's still a big confidence builder. The Duvall team has ran great all 3 weeks. The 17's running good, and they got a great attitude, and we're having a lot of fun so far this year.